Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time, thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Hi there, welcome to New Life Live. Really glad you're with us today. When I say us, two of my favorites, Milan, Yerkovich, and Dr. Alice Benton. How you guys doing?
Hey,
gentlemen,
great
hello.
to be with you, mademoiselle, and you, sir. It's a great day. Anytime I'm with you guys.
Thank you. Is that the proper usage of mademoiselle? Married woman with children? Is she a mademoiselle?
I don't know. I only know
Yeah.
señorita and señora, and señora is the appropriate one for Alice. So that's the only thing I know. I'm not a French guy. I just throw out a couple of words every now and then.
Well, whether you're a señora or a señorita, we would love you to call and give us a question that maybe we could handle, because that's what we're here for, and it's 1-800-229-3000. I was really moved by many of the calls that we had last week. I know Sherry and you, Alice, we had a couple of great days of programming there where the calls were just so intense. Mm-hmm. One of the calls that came in was a call from someone named Sarah, and the level of betrayal that she felt was so intense because, first of all, when she married the man she married, she didn't know that there was a problem with same-sex attraction. Mm-hmm. And, of course, if you're doing marriage counseling, pre-marriage counseling, which everybody needs to, that would be something that the person doing it would want to cover. Is there any kind of past that this person you're marrying needs to be and doesn't know about? But then it got even worse than that when we found out that that one of the people that this groom had been intimate with was in the wedding party. And so that was humiliating. Well, one of our listeners that I've known for years, way back since Women of Faith days, Rosalind called in and she said, me and my husband, we want Sarah to get some help.
Isn't that
we
great?
Want her because it's just so traumatic. I mean, just imagine. So she's paid for her to go to restore.
Wow.
And I think that's so great. And of course, Rosalind she and her husband have been generous to this ministry for years, and we have so many that are. And maybe someone wants to come alongside and help if it's an issue. Maybe Sarah needs some airfare, and we can take care of that too. But I don't want anything to stand in the way of her getting to restore. Why? Because you go from feeling like, oh, I can't tell anybody, I'm all alone, I'm humiliated, I'm full of shame. You go there and you see and talk and connect with all these other women who have had worse and not so bad things happen, and you have a sisterhood. Everyone there has something in common. You're all daughters. You've all had that daughter experience. You are a daughter of our God, and He wants restoration for you. And when you come, we're fortunate enough to be used, to be a tool for restoration. Mm-hmm. So maybe you want to join Sarah because you've been traumatized. You can't believe what you discovered after you got married. Well, I'll tell you, I've been there. It's no fun. The next restore is February the 28th, and that's in Orange County. A couple of weeks before that, on the 14th, Milan and I, with Kay, are going to do our Intimacy and Marriage Intensive, and we're going to see marriages transformed. February the 7th, a week before that, Every Man's Battle is going to be in San Jose, and that's where major change is going to happen. When you support us, and so many do, transformation, the end result. We'll take a break and come back. 1-800-229-3000.
I feel blessed to have had this opportunity for my needs to be met, connecting with other women who are fighting the same fight, hoping for healthy marriages and growing closer to the Lord on their journey.
My name is Shelly Martinkus, and I want to personally invite you to the Restore Workshop. If you have been affected by betrayal, it might be that your husband has been looking at pornography, it might be an emotional, a physical affair. I would love for you to come join us.
I feel encouraged and hopeful that even in my struggle, I am enough.
You will leave with hope, with a community of sisters ready to support you, and you will also leave with tools to move you forward on this journey.
Through the sharing in our small group, I realize that I am not alone.
Please don't hesitate. Pick up the phone, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. I would love to see you there.
The Restore Workshop is coming to Southern California February 28th to March the 1st. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to find out more. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Well, we're back. Steve Arterburn here. Dr. Alice Benton, Milan, Yerkovich. 1-800-229-3000. That's the phone number. You can dial that for 2 hours, and we're going to be sitting right here waiting for that phone call over the next couple of hours. We're going to go right now to Bill. He's calling from the great city of Cincinnati, just up the road a bit. WCVX is the station. Bill, how are you?
I'm very good. Thank you so much for taking my call.
Yep, glad to do it. Glad you called. What's going on?
My question is, I'm in a dilemma, and I was wondering from a God's perspective, when you give up on something. I'm a remodeler contractor. Somebody didn't pay me $3,800. And I took them to small claims court, and they have a lot of false accusations against me, and they're charging me like close to $14,000. And I think this is bringing more stress to my life. If I go to civil court, which they brought this to, I could lose more money. When should I give up? I know God's my vindicator, and I shouldn't worry about it, but $3,800 is a lot to step down from. They said if I step down from it, they'll drop their case against me and we walk away. But I felt like God led me to do this in small claims, but they immediately brought it to civil court.
So this isn't like somebody that goes to your church or something like that, right?
No, I worked with her for about 7-8 years, and I'm a very loyal contractor. Whoever I work for, I always do a good job, try to save them money and charge them fairly.
Yeah, okay.
And
Well, yeah, all right. Let's start with Milan. Milan, what do you think? I mean, $3,800. You don't want to spend $14,000 or more, and then I don't know. This is a tough one.
Well, Bill, I think Christians need to really keep in mind that I was just reading the other day in Romans 13 that God has given us the government as a protector and as an advocate to help us and to defend us as well as punish us. In other words, a government is something that helps create controls and laws within the world we live in each of the governments. So I think there's a lot of mistaken notions. A lot of people look at Jesus and they just see the victim of Jesus, which was one 24-hour period, who was non-resistive. And that wasn't his normal MO. His normal MO was he was a fighter. He fought every single day to advocate, and because the incarnation was a collision with God and the nation of Israel, and he was, as a matter of fact, that's why he went to the cross, because he fought for what was right. So I think we have to fight and not be timid about it, so I appreciate you doing it. But then we have to get good advice and ask ourselves, when are we shooting our own selves in the foot? When could we be simply doing something that's going to cost us more, either in time or in money? And I think there's times where you do have to walk away because the world is not fair. And then we have to settle that philosophical question. I'm a good guy, I'm a hard worker, but unfair things happen to me. but that happens to a lot of people in this world.
Yeah, the Bible's pretty clear about let's don't drag another believer into court. Okay, and I did that one time, and I thought I needed to do it. And it was a horrible mistake, actually. But one of the things that I thought was, well, if I don't do this, this person is just going to do the same thing to somebody else. So that you do have that principle there, that you don't want to enable evil by just walking away, but by the same token, I mean, you literally do, as a person of the world, have to count the cost. And you have the ability to be free of this by grieving the loss and then experiencing forgiving that person and completely letting it go. And then now they're left with, man, I wasn't fair with him, and they have to deal with that. So I think, given what you've said, you might have an out here where you're not out any more money versus you just may be up against somebody that's really equipped to never, ever give up, give in, or lose. Alice, you have a thought on this?
Just two additions to what you fellas have already said, because you have a 7 or 8 year relationship with this woman and may need the relationship going forward, or may need things to be as good as they can be for the sake of the future business and possible future relationship. I don't know exactly what that means of where you'll go, but just to take into consideration that perhaps you pay a price now, but you invest in the relationship and your business long term. And then when Steve brought up forgiveness, it made me think about how God asks us to pray for our enemies, and how unfair of a request that is of us.
It really is, isn't it?
But it softens us because it allows grace in, and it usually is a middle step to helping us forgive what's unfair and unforgivable, which it sounds like your situation is. So I encourage you to pray for this person that seems to be treating you unfairly here.
That was great,
I
Alice.
appreciate that. I did do that.
Good.
And her lawyer. And it's just unbelievable. The phone calls and text messages from her lawyer trying to get me to do stuff, throwing false accusations at me, trying to get me to go in there and settle out of court. And it's just unbelievable.
I have to say one more thing. I have a family member who's in the real estate business, and she had an association with a person in her community that was a professional guy who professionally sued people. And he would bring people in, he would engage with them in business and then drag them into court. And he was one of these guys that's all he did was try to make money in the courts by suing people and stretching people over a barrel and torturing them. So there are people that are really not nice, and I just, like Jesus, I just walk away from those people, and I don't want to touch them or hang out with them anymore.
I'll send you a copy of Healing is a Choice. It's got some really good stuff on forgiveness there, how to do it, and why we need to. Let's go back to Shane. Boise, Idaho. KBXL is the station there. Hi, Shane. How are you today?
Good. Thank you very much for taking my call.
Yep. What's going on?
Well, I went to Every Man's Battle in November, and since then I've gotten part of a men's small group that came out of the same group, not the same group, but they've all been to Every Man's. And what I'm struggling with is I'm part of Celebrate Recovery. I don't have an official sponsor yet, but I'm still struggling with blocking out the wife, not giving her the full attention and focus that I know she needs and deserves. So I've heard you guys mention counselors before, but they have to be specific. So I guess I'm just looking for input and feedback. The wife said, don't make light of it. So I just recently, I just started to spiral down. I didn't revert back to my old habits, but I did go to the TV. I did, avoidance, non-communicative.
Okay, so So what you're saying is you went to every man's battle, but your wife doesn't think, and you seem to be agreeing with her, you're not connecting with her? Is that what you're saying? It's not coming back together, or what are you saying?
It's a pretty good roller coaster. We have our good week, and then we have our bad week. We have a good week, or we could go 2 weeks, one way or the other. But it doesn't seem to be leveling out.
Mm-hmm.
And I know things take time, and she has been incredible.
What is it that you were guilty of? What was the type of problem that you had?
Pornography.
No other person was involved. Is that right?
No.
And how long had you had that problem while you were married?
Probably 10 years, give or take.
So, 10 years, fantasy,
and it was
escape.
off and on.
Yeah, fantasy, escape, deception, fantasy, escape, deception, 10 years. And 3 months after you decide it's going to be different, it seems like, man, that would be awfully fast to be able to kind of retread your whole existence there. Alice, what are you thinking here? Shane's, 10 years, and then now not even 3 months, they're still struggling. What do you think?
Shane, we are delighted to get calls from men like you, men who are willing to look in the face of your pattern of sin and to change it and to go to EMB. So thank you for being that kind of man.
Every man's battle, you mean?
Every man's battle. And what you describe is not uncommon at all, because as you begin to triumph over your sin, and although you've been triggered, you haven't relapsed, your wife is in the trenches and is so wounded. And depending on when she discovered, or perhaps you disclosed your pornography use, her wounds are so fresh. So what you're describing is probably one of the most common experiences for men coming back from every man's battle. And the better you're doing, the more your wife might struggle for a time, because she's dealing with the aftermath and the consequences. So that you're considering, it sounds like couples therapy is exactly the right place to be. And you're right, it helps if the therapist is experienced with things like a full therapeutic disclosure, where you reveal what you have been doing, the depths of it, and then you help your wife to both be angry, allow her time to be very angry, to grieve, and to get used to this new reality of what she now knows and who you are becoming. And we can connect you with that kind of a therapist because of our network of counselors that we vetted, and we know those who have the right kind of experience to be of help to you.
Yeah, I think counseling is important for you to go a little deeper, a little sooner. Milan, you have any thoughts of what he might do to help the process to build the connection with his wife?
Shane, I don't know what you meant by blocking out your wife. What do you mean blocking out your wife? Give me a very brief definition of blocking her out.
Not being in the present. I'm physically there, and I hear, but I don't follow through on the things she asks. I don't always communicate the frustrations from work, frustrations from what she does, frustrations at home. You know what I mean?
Okay, so thank you very much. That was a great definition. I'm not present with her. And that's a really good definition, because it takes a lot of practice to learn to be present. There was a book that was actually written about 30 years ago called Practicing the Presence of People. And I've never read it, but I like the title. And the author was a solid guy. I've read other books by him. But his whole thing was he didn't know how to connect or see people. And he had to learn to see and practice the presence of people. But let me go up to 38,000 feet for a second. I think there's two things going on here, Shane. One is the core pattern in your marriage. Every marriage has a core pattern, and you sound like an emotionally avoidant person in the relationship. It could be male or female who's emotionally avoidant, but if you're emotionally avoidant, you don't know how to be attentive, present, or empathetic. secondly, you have, and because that can end up spooling or spinning up into a place of frustration over and over and over again, that's one of the things you really need to tackle with your wife, how to learn to become a new person that is more secure instead of emotionally avoidant, taking these evasive, avoiding maneuvers. Secondly, your addiction is something that goes hand in glove with frustration, and you need to work on your frustration and your addiction independently. But my recommendation would be to get in and work on that core pattern so you can learn to see, listen, and talk to your wife. Also, I love that you said, I want to be able to share my heart with her, what my day is like, what my frustrations are. It's a two-way street, and that would be a good course of action.
All right, one more comment. Right after this, you're listening to New Life Live, 1-800-229-3000. We'll be back after this.
My wife asked me for the first time in 2011 if I would consider myself a sex addict, so I signed up. You know, I'd read the Every Man's Battle book, and it was a great book, but the workshop, it was the experience that really was key for me. If they go to EMB, they're going to be in good hands. You know, this is a safe place. They're going to be surrounded by men that simply walk the talk. The weekend leaders that they will go through this workshop with, they'll help them to get to the root of their issues. You know, I've been through a number of well-preached sermons, listened to and read countless books, been to a number of seminars, but EMB for me was a game changer. It truly saved my life. Being in this community, being in this workshop, being around these men will change them if they'll let them. You're going to encounter men that will meet you where you're at, and you will instantly walk into a safe place where they're welcome.
If you're struggling, call us. We don't want you to go on struggling. Just give us a call. It's 1-800-639-5433. It's 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again. You seem to be able to get to the crux of a problem quickly.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for you and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many tools to help me prepare myself to fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly, and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Just call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-639-5433.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here. And Shane, just a couple of things. One is be sure, in addition to the individual work that you're doing, that you guys are working this through together. And so we'll help you find that person for both of you. And then I got to tell you, I mean, this is the kind of stuff that our Intimacy and Marriage Weekend will help you with. It'll bring you together in a way that I don't know anything else would in the shortest amount of time. Now, literally, we saved this. Our psychologists say, well, you know, it speeds it up anywhere from 6 months to a year in the kind of progress you can make. Okay, so that applies to you and your wife. It really will get you farther down the road toward her heart than ever before. So I just hope and pray that you guys could be part of that. That would be huge. You know, I've got a little thing here, a pamphlet that comes right out of Sex Addicts Anonymous. It says this: love is the antidote to addiction. By love, we mean the abiding affection that comes from connecting with others. This love includes and nurtures our sexuality as we rethink the relationship between love and power. Such love does not exist in isolation, and so we are moved toward other men and women to find and develop it. I think it's really important that they talk about rethinking love and power, because when one person is focused on power, control, it's a lopsided relationship, first of all. Secondly, it destroys the love being a mutual experience for both. We will help you with that. It happens at Restore, it happens at Every Man's Battle, and it happens at Intimacy in Marriage Weekend. Let's go to Anna, Fort Worth, Texas, KWRD. Anna, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, thank you. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure. What's going on?
I'm calling because I've been in a relationship for 21 years. I think it's a controlling and disrespectful relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I just need advice and help as in, do you continue or when to let go? I mean, I'm just in a spot right now where I don't know what to do anymore. I don't know if I should stay or leave or...
Anna, how old are you?
I just turned 40. I'm 40 years old.
Okay, you just turned 40, so you started with this person at age 19, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And this person, and you're not married, so after 21 years, you're wanting to know, should you discontinue it or continue it, right?
Yes, and I have 4 children. My oldest is 19, and my baby is 2.
With this man?
Yes, all 5 of them are his.
And are you a believer?
Yes, I'm a born-again Christian in 2008.
Okay. Do you guys live together?
Yes.
But you're not married. And what does he say is the reason that you're not married?
I guess he doesn't believe in marriage, and he says he's always thinking, I guess, in the divorce. Why should we get married and then we got to pay for divorce? I've always wanted to get married, but he's always said no.
Well, you live in Texas. You live in Texas, Anna, and you are his common law wife, and that gives you, and you're the mother of his children, and you have rights and all of that similar to a married person. It's really sad that your children don't, that you're not married to their father, and it's really sad that he's given you such a lame excuse. So it's just a complicated situation, but the question always comes down to what is the right thing to do today.
Mm-hmm.
So Alice, what is your perspective on this? If she says it's over, I don't know. I mean, it seems like to me that might be a way for him to see. If you said it was over and you had an attorney, it might be a way for him to see that not being your official husband doesn't prevent him from having to deal with the reality of the court system and divorce. But Alice, what are your thoughts, and then Milan?
Oh, Anna, I can almost hear the weight on your shoulders as you talk and the tears in your voice, because you must feel very alone in this relationship, and as if your husband doesn't care, or your partner, and he doesn't care to make it better. So of course you're considering what to do. Now with such young children in the home, I want us to consider what professional structured help you have already sought out. And I imagine he's not willing to go if you've ever asked him to go. But if a counselor would come alongside of you and do a lot of strategizing and helping heal your pain no matter what your partner does, there may be some influential moves that you can make that could possibly draw your partner in closer to you and closer to the commitment of the relationship. So I don't think all hope is lost quite yet. And with a 2-year-old in the home, there may be reason to re-strategize and see if there are ways you can fight for the unity of the family. And we just know that God is on your side to fight for unity. So when we come back, we'll have more for you about this.
We'll be back after this.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
You guys are awesome. You're a blessing to America.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, please call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We are back. You know, if there were no children, this would be such a simple yes. You need to end this. So simple. The children complicate it. Milan, what are your thoughts here? What is the next right thing that needs to be done considering everything?
Well, Anna, I'm so sorry you are in this place. It's a trap that you're in, and you're there for some sort of security and provision, but then you have these children, and your husband's controlling. Now, I have a question. Has he ever been physically abusive to you or the children? Can we get Anna back on the air?
There she is.
Okay, Anna.
Anna?
Hello?
Hi.
Yes.
Has
With me the first 10 years.
he's been physically abusive?
The first 10 years, yes.
Oh, I'm so
I
sorry.
left him back in 2010. I come from divorced parents, and I hated it. So when I started my relationship, I said my children would grow with both parents.
Oh.
So I came in with that mentality. So I guess since the get-go, we had issues, but I stuck around for my kids. I guess it got to the point where I called it quits. I couldn't take it no more. I only had 2 children. I couldn't take it no more, and I left. And he went crying. He stopped working. He went crying. He went to all of my family members, and he acknowledged that it was just because of him, because of the way he was raised. He didn't know how to treat me, that I never did anything to deserve whatever I went through. And I had people, family, what do you have to do if he changes? So I came back. And, but,
okay, so Anna, 10 years later.
Stopped, but not the verbal.
Sure. So Anna, the
verbal continued.
Okay, this is really an important addition to the conversation because you have a base upon which you can work. The ability to say, okay, the physical abuse stopped, but the verbal abuse and the yelling, the screaming, the berating, the gaslighting that you do of me. Again, it's not me, husband. You're telling us that this is from your childhood and how you were treated. And he's right. He is simply taking abuse and passing it on from generation to generation. What about your children? Are they being verbally abused as well?
No, not with them. I mean, usually he has a real good relationship with them. My children actually, they just love him and they get excited when he gets home and stuff. But I do have my 5-year-old. He's mentioned a lot, like, because I guess we argue a lot because of the way he is with me. And my little 5-year-old does say, y'all are fighting again. We have a photo. And he's like, oh, y'all weren't fighting on that photo because there's a picture of him and me together.
Right.
But
So,
my 5-year-old associates us with.
Okay, so Anna, one of the things that we talk about a lot on this show to a lot of different people, and I wished would have happened for me, was that I would have had a parent that would have protected me from a verbally abusive environment.
Mm-hmm.
I wished I would have had a parent that instead of becoming like one of the children, which means to be weak and incapable of doing anything, that they would have been able to protect myself and my sister and take us out of the influence that was so frightening. And I think it's less here about your marriage, which as Steve said, you're not in a formal state of marriage, but you have 5 kids. It's more about protecting the children and teaching them the life lesson that we don't have to tolerate abuse. We don't have to take verbal abuse. I love that you're calling and saying, I can't do it anymore. So if you have to, I would find a women's shelter, a refuge, some place where the 19-year-old is going to be able to do whatever they want to do. But for the minor children, for you to escape and say, I can't do this anymore, I'm optimistic that your husband being very contrite and crying and having a strong reaction 10 years ago might happen again, which then, to Alice's point, would perhaps be your best option as leverage to get him to get some help.
And I think you have more power in this situation than you let yourself see
That's
or
right.
use.
She does.
Because you have deeply influenced your partner in the past. And if he is the bulk, it sounds like, of the unhealthy behavior, but we who are the victim of that behavior, we have a lot of power in deciding how we respond to it. And there are a lot of boundaries that we can set up to and before the point of divorce that really protect ourselves and our kids, but they also have great influence over the perpetrator in our life. So whether it starts with walking out of the room, and if it moves to spending more and more time away from your husband when he treats all of you like that, and he begins to lose your presence in his life little by little, that woke him up before, and it may very well wake him up again. It's certainly worth trying.
Yeah. Now, I got to ask you a quick question here. You say you're a Christian, and I believe you, and that when you die, you're going to go to heaven. Now, we got to ask ourselves, while we're here on earth, what is it in my life that's in more control? My faith or my fear? And how would you answer that? Which has been the most...
Unfortunately, it's my fear.
Okay, so here's what I'd like your legacy to be. In 10 years, you're talking to your 15-year-old, and you're saying to her, well, here's what happened. I was letting fear control my life, honey, and you must never do that. And that's why you were saying things back when you were 5. Well, I want to get anger in there. I want to all this, and that's why you were so upset with the fighting. See, I wasn't doing anything because fear was in control. But I made a choice that fear will not be in control. That my faith was going to be the center of my life. My faith not in me, but my faith in God. So I did something that every addict that ever recovers has to do. I had to surrender and not just have God as my Savior for eternity, but make God my highest power here on earth. And that's when everything changed. And in fact, once I did that, all of the things that I was afraid of never happened. That's when your father finally decided to become the man that we all were hoping he would become. But as long as I was doing things out of fear, trying to protect myself rather than do the right thing, acting in faith, nothing happened. Oh, one time I made some moves and he was crying and upset, but then I didn't follow through. But finally, 10 years ago, honey, that's when faith became the ruler of my life, faith in God. And that's why we're sitting here, we're talking about this, and we have the life that we do because fear did not control my life. That's what I would hope for you. I would pray that for you. And I can't guarantee that's going to happen, but I can guarantee you this. It will not happen until you let God be God in your life today. I'm so glad that you called. I'm going to send you a copy of my Life Recovery Bible, and I'm going to send you the workbook on grief, because I believe if you could grieve the loss of the marriage you never had, you could act in strength. And I think this man who needs to step up, marry you, be your husband, be the father, become a man of integrity, I think he just might become the man of integrity there. So I'll send that to you, and I'm so glad that you called. Maybe you're struggling some area of your life and you realize God's not in control of my life. Oh, sure, I'm going to go to heaven. I believe Jesus died for my sins, but I'm the one that's still running this show. It is never too late and it's never too early to let God be the highest power in your life. If you need help with that, you call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. When you do that, all of a sudden you're willing to get the help that you need. You're willing to make the move you need to make. Things change, and all of a sudden you look back and you go, oh my goodness, what took me so long to do what I knew I needed to do. No one ever stayed afraid, stagnated in that fear, and let God rule their life. Love casts out that fear. The love of God, so powerful that you entrust Him with your life. It's time to do that today. We'll help you. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We'll take a break. We'll come right back, but we've got another program later. 1-800-229-3000.
She said, we need to talk. She's asked me for the first time if I would consider myself a sex addict. You know, I thought it was just about admitting the things that I had done wrong. I never had a clue that it was about redeeming our story. You know, I thought it was just about coming clean on what I had done. I had no idea how to help her with her pain. She was a mess, I was a mess, and we got divorced. Going to EMB, surrounding myself with these other men, they accepted me for who I was and what I had done, but they challenged me to step up and do better. You know, they'll be around other men who are not just pointing the finger, but willing to get in and wade through it with them, you know, get in the trenches. They'll get hope from this workshop. Take my sweet wife and my story. We were divorced, remarried, and on our way to what I think will be the sweetest years of our lives. You know, it's no longer simply about surviving. For the first time ever, you know, we're thriving, we're enjoying where we're at.
Hey, listen, if you're struggling, we want to see you at the workshop. Give us a call, 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I turned on New Life, and the topic that day was about anxiety. And just by listening, I got relief.
You can help New Life Live stay in the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you a set of 4 devotionals, 100 Days of Character, Peace, Prayer, and the newly released 100 Days of Healing. Plus, there are ongoing benefits like access to the Club New Life video library, the monthly Club New Life CD or download, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, and discounts on workshops.
I did go to Take Your Life Back. That's been immensely helpful to me. That's why I continue to support the ministry with the hope that not only am I helping my own situation, that I'm helping others as well.
Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here. Really glad that you're with us here today. Let's jump over here to Linda, calling from Orlando, Florida. Listens on Sirius XM satellite radio, channel 131 for anybody else at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Linda, how are you and how could we help?
Well, I have a very unique situation. I want to know if an incestual pedophile can be rehabilitated. I have been asked by my husband's lawyer, a minister, church staff member, who has now been in jail for a year and a half for sexually molesting our daughters, 4 of our granddaughters, and several ladies in our church. He's been
So
there,
sad.
but we are at the point of hopefully bringing this to a closure. But he persists in wanting to go to trial instead of taking a plea deal. I have been asked to pay a large sum of money to get a psychotherapist who specializes in sexual behaviors to come and to analyze him. My husband is very outgoing and friendly. He knows how to manipulate.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question real quick here. I need this information before you go any further. What's your husband been involved with therapy-wise and treatment-wise while he's been in jail for this time of over a year?
Well, when he first went into jail, they asked him if he was suicidal, and he said, I have been. So they put him into the mental health unit. Now, he has not, because he's still in jail, he has not received a lot. He did get some counseling, but at the moment he's in what is called their programs unit, where you take classes for drug abuse and for other things, but nothing that applies.
Okay, what books has he told you he's been reading during this year to help him?
Not anything that is, he did a lot of reading before he went in, and I saw several that he had read, and he has done some things there. I mean, he's leading classes there, he's witnessing, he's bringing people to the Lord. He will not admit, though, and it's not said, I'm sorry, there's been no repentance.
Oh, no repentance.
So
what's the question for us?
Then? Yeah.
What's your question?
Well, my question is, can an incestual pedophile be rehabilitated? I mean, I don't want to base this money on him all of a sudden be able to get out of jail, because I knew nothing of this with my children and the church staff members. Nothing. But I know it now.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So
I'm sorry, Linda.
Yeah, Linda. I think I'll let Alice and Milan respond, but here's my first response to you. Whether rehabilitation is possible or not that's one issue. And I have to tell you, the fact that he's never said to you, weeping in a visit to him or over the phone, you have no idea how horrible I feel about what I've done. I don't know that rehabilitation is possible for him. But listen, here's the main headline I want you to hear, okay? You should never consider him safe with anyone, anywhere, at any time. He is not safe, okay? Even if he was, someone said he went through a program after 2 years that he had done great and all, you would still never let him ever, if he got out of jail, be alone with anyone, ever. He would not ever be considered safe. Now, he might be safe. That would be the exception, given his lack of repentance. But you would never, ever believe that he was safe. Alice, Milan, your thoughts here?
Oh, Linda, my heart is just breaking for you, and there are not words adequate to say for what you and your daughters and granddaughters have gone through. And I'm sorry to say, I think your God-given position at this point is only advocating, protecting, and fighting for all the victims of your husband. It's not working to release him. He's in such pride and denial from what I'm hearing of his behavior that he continues to be unsafe. And so I think any money raised should go instead for the treatment of all of these women that he has ruined their lives with his behavior. So I think it's so apparent because of what he's doing that he needs more and more consequences for his behavior rather than less. Fewer consequences will keep him stuck in the denial of what he has done.
You know, Linda, he expects you to stay in the position you're in, which is the weak position. He has duped you, he's lied to you, he's deceived you, he's been unfaithful to you, he's betrayed you, he's abandoned you. So I wouldn't invest any money into him at all. I would take any money you have and even legally protect yourself with some sort of formal legal action. I would talk to a lawyer and say, how can I protect myself financially? A separation could do that, and you need to protect yourself and provide for yourself. So I wouldn't give money to him. I would keep the money for yourself and make sure it's protected and held away from him, because he'll try and get that money from you, and he'll try to get you and manipulate you into helping him. He doesn't deserve to be helped.
No. And Linda, the fact that you're calling us with this question makes me believe that you're not connected with somebody that you can really trust. And I understand that. This is such a shameful thing. But what I want you to do, I want you to hold on, because we have some great counselors there in your area. And what you need is you need a really great Christian counselor that's wise, that can tell you these things and tell you these things again the next week and help you figure out what to do. He must not be the priority. Just like Alice was saying, those that have been hurt, including yourself, need to be the priority. No money should be spent on a man who isn't deeply sorrowful just for what he did to you, or that he would expect anything from you, and that he would have an attorney ask you for this. An attorney might be being paid to minimize the impact of this on his life.
Sure.
That's a waste of money. Waste of money. He needs to be so repentant he can hardly even talk to you on the phone. That's what we want to see, and that's what would honor God, and I'm glad you called. I'm going to do another program with Milan and Alice right after this. It's 1-800-229-3000. By the way, I'm going to send Linda Healing as a Choice, and I'm going to send her a Restoration Bible. Oh, my goodness. I'm so sorry for what she's had to go through. If you can help us, would you? Would you call us right now, 1-800-NEW-LIFE? Support this ministry so that we can be here for people like Linda, who don't have anybody else to talk to about something so sad. It's 1-800-NEW-LIFE if you need help, or you can help us. 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, But you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Hi, Steve Arterburn here. Thanks for watching New Life Live on our New Life YouTube channel. You know, you can see it anytime. Hope you'll subscribe, and when you do, hope you'll turn that little button thing on, the bell, so that whenever we post a new video, it'll ring right through. Now, if you go to newlife.com, you'll see the schedule of when we're in the studio, which is helpful to know if you have a question for the program, or you could go to newlife.com or call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. You could do this on the app. I mean, there's so many ways that you can stay in touch with us and know when we're there, because we want to answer your questions. So thanks for watching right here on the New Life YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time.